Hello and welcome to another video. In this video I will show you how I use this piece of chestnut to make a cake stand. I cut the piece down to size and then I used the compass with the radius that I needed to draw a circle as the client wanted a cake stand that was a circular shape. This was a project I was looking forward to doing as I've never really attempted to do anything like this before, so it was definitely a challenge I wanted to take on. Now I took it to the bandsaw and just cut it into the rough circular shape that I needed. I then used my belt sander to actually sand it down all the way to the pencil line that I had originally drawn on. Originally this chestnut was going to be used for another project and I had to use a router to flatten it out, so that is what those vertical lines are. And here I got a spare piece of oak that I had lying around, and this will be used to make the handle. So I sort of positioned it how it would go, and then I cut it to size using the bandsaw again. Now came the fun part of routering out the slight recess for the handle to fit into. I thought this would add a bit more structural stability to the cake stand, and then I just used a chisel to cut out the corners to make it a perfect rectangle. After a few tries, I eventually managed to get the handle to fit straight into that recess. I then cut the base of the cake stand and applied the same method that I used earlier for the top. Just drew a circle, put it on the bandsaw and belt sander just to get it into that round circular shape. And then again the same process, cutting a small recess into the base of the stand that the handle would also then slot into. Here you can see that the handle does fit. I was quite happy with how it turned out. It was pretty strong, and then I just wanted to make it a bit stronger, so I actually cut some small dowels and drilled into the handle, drilled into the base of the board to then put the dowel through just to add some extra stability and security. And now I just wanted to do a small little test fit to make sure that the handle fits into the top and bottom of the cake stand. The dowels align and everything fits nice and snug, which it did end up doing. So I'm quite happy about how that turned out. Now it's just a case of adding the small details to the cake stand to make it a much nicer finish. Now once I did put this, I did realise that there was a slight angle and I wasn't too fussed. I knew once I actually put some glue in, as long as I made sure it was glued at 90 degrees, we'd all be good to go. It was also pretty strong. Even without any glue, I could pick up the cake stand using just the handle and everything stayed in place. Now came the most tedious part of the entire cake stand build. It was the sanding, especially since I had all those vertical lines that I needed to get rid of and completely flatten. So I used the palm sander, I used actual hand sandpaper and just went up all the grits until it was eventually nice and smooth. And here I was just checking against the natural sunlight how visible the lines were, and you can still see there's quite a few vertical lines. Even though it's pretty smooth, these vertical lines will definitely appear once I put the finish on, so it was back to even more sanding. And yeah, this was not a fun process, but it was something that had to be done. Progress was being made though. In this one you can see that these vertical lines are now even less visible. Still more sanding to do, but we're nearly there. I then used a round over bit just to round over the edges on the top and base of the cake stand. In hindsight, I should probably have clamped these down just for safety. I then glued all of the pieces together, and I actually got my younger brother to help me on this, just so I could put some clamping pressure on, and we could always check with the dry square to make sure everything's actually at 90 degrees. I didn't really have any clamps for that top part, so I just stuck some other weights I had on top just to apply some constant pressure, and this was how it turned out once it was glued. Now came the tedious part of actually going through and hand sanding all the tight corners. I put some filler in as well when I glued it in, just to seal any gaps, so all of those had to be sanded down a bit as well before I applied the final finish. So now I applied the finish, I put the oil on and rubbed it all in, covered the entire area, did one coat and then put on the second coat once everything was dry. I think my favourite part was how the grain in the middle of the chestnut on the top of the cake stand really popped out. It was a lovely contrast between the other sides, and now I just left it to dry. A useful trick I've learned over the years is not to keep the product flat on the surface when you're waiting for it to dry. Put some nails in a scrap bit of wood just to elevate it. And this is how the final cake stand turned out. I was quite happy with how it turned out, and these are the final images with an actual cake on there. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more content in the future. Be sure to check out some of my other content that I've already posted as well. Thank you.